Good morning, students. Welcome back to Atmiya Green School. I'm Afrin Sayed, your social science teacher, and here we are with our textbook, our past. We are already done with chapter 1, 2, and 3, and today we are here with chapter 4, that is what books and burials tells about. Okay, now what the heading says, what books and burials tells us. So as we already know that when we always discuss about our history, we always discuss about the lifestyle of the people living a long back years ago, or how they used to live, or what kind of ornaments they used to wear, what kinds of tools they used to manufacture, and all such things are something which we get to know from the archaeologists. We get to know from various other burials, and we get to know from the books written or scripts written during that times. And from all those remainings, we wonder and we get out, we make some assumptions, and on the basis of everything we comes on a conclusion that this is how they used to live, or this how they this kind of ornaments they used to have, or the type by identifying the types of tools they have. By identifying those tools, we get to know about their profession. Like if we have, in the last chapter we have seen that we got the toy plow, and from that toy plow we got to know that how they might be used to be farmers, and how they used to collect their food, or how they used to grow the food. So all such things are something which help us to know about our history. Just like that, books and burials tells lot about the history, and there are many hidden stories which can be discovered or which can be encoded with the help of those books and burials. Now over here we have let's read Mary in the library. I'll read it for you, students. As the bell rang, the teacher asked the students to follow him because they were going to the library for the first time. When Mary stepped inside, she found that library was much larger than their classrooms, and there were so many shelves, all full of books. In one corner was a cupboard filled with large old volumes. Seeing her trying to open the cupboard, the teacher said, "That cupboard has very special books on different religions. Did you know that we have a set of Vedas?" What are the Vedas? Mary wondered. Let us find out. So, as you have also might visited your school libraries, and your school libraries, if you have seen that your school libraries are a huge rooms with where shelves are only decorated with the books. So here the curious little Mary is also very much curious, and looking at those books and all those walls which are covered with the books, she was very surprised. Now after getting excited, she just tried to open the door of the cupboard. Now that cupboard belongs to books which used to belong different kind of religions. There were our culture is made up of different Vedas, and those books were about Vedas. Now children, you might be wondering that what do you mean by Vedas? So here in this chapter we'll discuss about what are Vedas. Now, one of the oldest book in the world. So Vedas are one of the oldest book. Oldest means सबसे पुरानी books में से एक है वो. You may have heard about the Vedas. There are 4 of them. How many Vedas are there? 4. Which are they? Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajurveda and Atharveda. ठीक है. We have 4 Vedas. Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajurveda and Atharveda. I'll repeat it for you. Repeat after me. Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajurveda and Atharveda. So remember students, there are 4 Vedas which consist of Rig Veda, Sham Veda, Yajur Veda and Atharveda. How you are going to remember it? Rig, Sham, Yaj, Athar. How you are going to remember it? Rig, Sham, Yaj, Athar. Rig, Sham, Yaj, Athar. This is the easiest way to remember those books. The oldest Veda is the Rig Veda, and among all the 4 Vedas, the oldest one is Rig Veda. Okay, among all those 4 Vedas, the Rig Veda is the oldest. composed about 3500 years ago. It is composed about 3500 years ago. The Rig Veda includes more than 1000 hymns. Hymns का मतलब होता है भजन. Okay, hymns means bhajan. So it includes thousands of hymns called sukta or well said. Okay, sukta or well said मतलब कहावतें basically, which we say in Hindi is कहावतें. So it includes which were called as sukta or well said. Okay, so remember how many Vedas are there? There are 4 Vedas. Which are they? Rig, Sham, Yajur, Atharva. And among all these 4 Vedas, Rig Veda is the oldest. How many years old it is? It is 3500 years old. Then, what does Rig Veda includes? It includes thousands of hymns called Sukta or well said. Now, these hymns are in praise of various gods and goddesses. Okay, now why those hymns? Like every song or every kind of hymn which we sing are always have some story to tell or have something to tell. So what does this hymn says? These hymns have the praise of various gods and goddesses. We usually when we pray, we usually praise our god and goddesses, and this is how there was some praise which were being done to our god and goddesses. 3 gods are especially important. Agni, the god of fire, as the name says, as the name suggests, that what does the Agni means? Agni means fire, and hence Agni is the god of fire. Indra, a god, a warrior god. Indra is a warrior god, as the name suggests. Indra, he is a warrior god. And Soma, a plant which a special drink was prepared. So plant is a Soma was a plant from which a special drink was prepared. So 3 things were talked about. First is Agni, then Indra and Soma. Agni is the god of fire, Indra is the warrior god, Soma is the kind of a plant which from which we can prepare a special drink. Okay, now I'll read it for you. These hymns were composed by sages. Sages means rishis, matlab pandits. Priests taught students to recite and memorize each syllable, word, sentence, beat by beat with a great care. Okay, if you have ever visited to your holy places, and if you have ever read all the hymns and everything which is a part of your religion, then they might the priest or the people who are much acknowledged by our religion more, and who are much more understanding regarding our religion, who knows about how to recite and everything. So they'll teach you that how to pronounce it, how every word and sentence should go, and how a great care should be taken while reciting them. So just like that, there were various sages who used to compose those hymns, and the priest during that time used to teach various students that how to pronounce, how to arrange, and how to recite them. Most of the hymns were composed, taught and learned by men. A few were composed by women. So generally most of the hymns and everything was composed by men. Men means not just talking about the humans, but the gender, that is male, masculine gender. They are talking about the masculine gender. And few were composed by women. So there are very few of the hymns which were prepared by women. The Rig Veda is an old or Vedic Sanskrit which is different from Sanskrit you learn in the school these days. So as Sanskrit is already part of our syllabus, but the Sanskrit which we are learning, it is far much different from the Sanskrit which Rig Veda has or Rig Veda is consist of. Okay. Let's learn about Sanskrit and other languages. Sanskrit is a part of family languages known as Indo-European. Some Indian languages such as Assami, Gujarati, Hindi, Kashmiri and Sindhi. We are already aware about the different kind of culture, different type of linguistic differentiation which our country follows, and even if we just look around ourselves, there are people speaking, or they have different dialects, they have different way of speaking, they have different dialects in their communication. So all such things are different, are varied from culture to culture, state to state. So all such things are very much varied. Now we have different languages, okay, and all those languages have a root. Have a root means they have some roots from which all other languages have been came up. Asian languages such as Persian and many European languages such as English, French, German, Greek, Italian and Spanish belong to the family. So all these languages like English, French, German, Greek, Italian, Spanish belong to the family. Okay, they have a family and they are called a family because their originally had words in common. So all such words have a common original words. Take the words matra in Sanskrit. So in Hindi it is ma and mother in English. So matra is a Sanskrit word from which ma is taken out. The look students, each and every word has their root. Let's take an example of introvert. Okay. So when we go with the roots of the introvert, then it basically intro means interior, okay, and vert means a kind of way you have, kind of behavior you have, a kind of nature you have. So it shows that a person who has an introvert nature, that is a kind of person who is a kind of reserved person. Okay, so just like we have a Sanskrit word matra from which ma is taken out, so it forms ma in Hindi and mother in English. So all the languages belongs to a similar family. Do you notice any similarities? Other languages used in subcontinent belong to the different families. For instance, those used in northeast belong to the Tibeto-Burman family. Tamil, Telugu, Kannada and Malayalam belong to Dravidian family, and the languages spoken in Jharkhand and parts of central India belong to the Austroasiatic family. Okay, so there are there are different languages which belongs to the different families, which have the different cultures, which have the different roots. Okay, the books used are written and printed. The Rig Veda was recited and heard rather than read. Okay, so the Rig Veda, there were different books which were written as well as printed. Now there was Rig Veda which was recited as well as heard rather than read. They were not read, they were basically recited or heard. It was written down several centuries after it was first composed and printed less than 200 years ago. How historians study Rig Veda? So how historians used to study Rig Veda? Historians like archaeologists find out about the past, but in addition to material remains, they examine written sources as well. Okay, जो हिस्टोरियंस होते हैं या जो आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट होते हैं वो देखते हैं कि पहले की कौन सी चीज़ें हैं और उसकी वजह उन सोर्सेज से वो लोग पता लगाते हैं कि कौन सी बातें हैं जो पहले थी, ठीक है, क्योंकि उस वक्त हम तो हयात नहीं थे, उस वक्त हम तो ज़िंदा नहीं थे ये देखने के लिए कि किस तरीके के लोग ज़िंदगी गुजारा करते थे या किस तरीके से लोग रहा करते थे। लेकिन बहुत सारी अलग अलग चीज़ें हैं जिसके अंदर हम उन्हें पढ़कर या उन्हें जानकर या उनको देखकर ये पता लगा सकते हैं कि कैसे ज़िंदगी वो लोग बसारत करते थे। Let us see how they study the Rig Veda. Some of the hymns in Rig Veda are in the form of dialogues. This is part of one such hymn, a dialogue between a sage named Vishwamitra. So there was a sage whose name was Vishwamitra and two rivers, Bees and Satluj. So Vishwamitra was a sage who was having a dialect, who was having a communication with two rivers. That is, one river was Bees and other was Satluj, that were worshipped as goddess. In India, we always we have a culture of worshipping animals, birds, and trees and rivers. So just like that, he used to admire and he used to worship river. He used to worship rivers. So he was having a dialect. He was having a communication. He was having a word with those rivers. Let us see where this Bees and Satluj have been located. I'll show you where are those Bees and Satluj located. Okay, so students, you can see over here, you can see the Beas river and Satluj river. Okay, they are basically tributary of Indus. Okay, so this is Beas and Satluj. This is a manuscript, students. Manuscript is something which is you can say a tree's bark. During that time we were not having paper and pen, so during that time people used to write on the bark of a tree, and that is manuscript. A page from a manuscript of the Rig Veda. This manuscript of Rig Veda on birch bark was found in Kashmir about 150 years ago. It was used to prepare one of the earliest printed text of the Rig Veda, as well as an English translation. It is now preserved in library in Pune, Maharashtra. Where is this piece of paper, or you can say a piece of bark, preserved is it is preserved in Pune, Maharashtra. Students, your homework is to read this Vishwamitra and the river. You have to read about the Vishwamitra and river. These are the dialects between Vishwamitra and river. You have to read those dialects as they are part of the Rig Veda. It is present in Rig Veda. It's your homework to read it. Now we have cattle, horses and carrots. Cattle, horses and carrots. There are many prayers in Rig Veda for cattle, children, especially sons, and horses. Horses were yoked to carrots that were used in battles. Okay, horses were something were used to pull the carrots. Carrots. What I'll show how carrots look like. So, you can see, students, this is a carrot which is pulled by horses. So this is a carrot which was pulled by the horses. I hope it is very much clear and it is making a very much sense to you all. So they were used in battles which were fought to capture cattle. Battles were also fought for land. अब बैटल्स क्यों युद्ध क्यों किए जाते थे, तो ज़मीनों के लिए किए जाते थे, कैटल्स के लिए किए जाते थे, विच वॉज इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर द pasture. Why land was important? Look, students, it is a link, how it is linked. We used to have battles for cattle. Okay, why we used to have a battle? We used to have a battle so that we can win the cattle, and we want to win the land. Why we want to win the land? Because we land is a place where our cattle can pasture, they can eat, they can be feeded. So they want to win the land as well, and for growing hardy crops that thrive quickly, such as barley. Some battles were fought for water and to capture people. There are different purposes of having a battle. So some of them used to have a battle for a water, or some of them used to have a battle to capture the people. Okay. Some of the wealth that was obtained was kept by the leaders. Some was given to priests and rest was distributed among the people. So whatever which was gained was either distributed with the priests, or either kept with the humans. Some wealth was used for the performance of yajnas or sacrifices in which offerings were made in the fire. So we use those wealth for the offering of the gods and goddesses. Okay, offerings includes ghee, grain, and in some cases animals too. Most men took part in these wars. There are many men who used to take part in these wars, and there were no regular army, but there were assemblies where people met and discussed matters of war and peace. They also chose leaders who were often brave and skillful warriors. So there were most men who took part in these wars, and there was no regular army, but there were assemblies where people used to meet and used to discuss about the wars and peace. They choose some leaders to whom they used to follow, and whatever guidance they used to give, they used to listen it carefully, and they used to participate in those guidance, and they just used to follow how they describe. Now, words to describe people. There are several ways of describing people in terms of work they do. Okay, how we used to describe the people? We used to describe the people from the work they used to do. That is basically their okay. So how we used to describe, or how we used to categorize the humans, how we used to categorize the people. We used to categorize people and humans by the profession or the kind of work they follow. For example, the person who is collecting food, we call him gatherer, or the person who is rearing animals, we call him or her as a herder. So just like that, we have a people or a person who is making utensils or things made up of clay, we call him as a potter. So there are different category of work which is carried out by people, and all those category of the work help us to categorize people into different group or a social work class or a social format of the society. They are basically the social working group of the society. Okay. Now let us see what does the book says. There are several ways of describing people in the terms of the work they do, the language they speak, the place they belong to, their family, their communities and culture practice. Let us see some of the words used to describe people found in the Rig Veda. There are two groups who are described in the terms of their work. The first is the priest, the sometimes called Brahmins. जैसे जो priest होते हैं, जैसे हम Brahmins कहते हैं, who performs rituals, and Rajas. And other is the rajas. Rajas are the people who own and who have armies and who have, like, look students, priests are the peoples, basically Brahmins, who used to live a simple life, who used to devote all their life to the society, to the welfare of the society, and they devote their entire life in the worship of god and goddesses. As well as rajas are basically kings, so they have a luxurious life with a lot of soldiers, servants, and they wear a lot of jewelries, and they own armies and palaces, and they collect the taxes from the people, they rule this society. So this category of the people are rajas. Let us read. These rajas were not like the ones you will be learning about later. They do not have capital cities, palaces or armies, nor do they collect the taxes. Generally, sons did not automatically succeed fathers as rajas. Okay, so as I already discussed, the rajas are the basically kings who own the armies and everything. But these rajas, which have been mentioned in the books of the Rig Veda, are not somewhat representing them, and they are not the people who used to get the inheritance or who used to get the direct that heredity from their forefathers, like अपने पापा राजा है तो बच्चा फिर लेगेसी पास होकर उसके बच्चे भी राजा बनेंगे, इस तरीके की चीज़ यहाँ पे नहीं होती थी. So what does rajas means in Rig Veda? Okay, let us see what does the book says about the rajas. Two words were used to describe the people or the community as a whole. One was the word jana, which we still use in Hindi and other language. The other was wish. The word Vaishya come from wish. You will learn more about this in chapter 5. We'll learn about Vaishya in chapter 5. Several wish or jana are mentioned by name. So we find reference to Puru jana or wish, the Bharata jana or wish, the Yadu jana or wish, and so on. So we have different words for it. Do any of the names sound familiar? Sometimes the people who compose the hymns describe themselves as Aryas are called their opponents Dashas or Dashus. So people who compose hymns are known as Aryas. So category of the people or the group of people who are composing hymns are known as Aryas, and their opponents are known as Dashas or Dashus. Okay, there were people who did not perform sacrifices and probably spoke different languages. So there are some people who do not perform the sacrifices and who speak the different languages. Later they were termed as Dasa, and feminine of Dasa is Dasi, came to mean as a slave. And afterwards that components like Aryas are the people who belong to the upper part of the society, whereas Dashi are someone or Dasis are someone who belong to the lower part of the society. Slaves were women and men who are often captured in the war. They were treated as property of their owners. So how they were treated? They were treated as a property of owners. They have to follow whatever their owners will say, who could make them do whatever work they wanted. While the Rig Veda was being composed in the northwest in the subcontinent, there were other development elsewhere. Okay. So students, this was something which your chapter is about, and there is a lot more to discuss in this chapter. We'll be discussing here, but today it is a lot for today. So just go through the video. After going through the video, read from the video, then just go through your textbook. Once you are going through your textbook, you'll be able to understand that what basically this chapter means, and you'll be able to understand it more in detail. I hope I was making sense to you and I was very much clear to you all. Okay, thank you so much students. Have a very great day. Stay safe and stay happy.